And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everybody, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to take a look at an abstract game from Madagot called Cappuccino. Now this is a game in which each player has their own group of cups, and this is of course a coffee-themed game, so they're they look like designs made in like a cappuccino where you've drawn in the foam. And each player has these cups with these designs or different colors on them that they're trying to use in order to capture pieces of the other players and have the tallest stack of pieces at the end of the round. They're going to do so by moving from one place to another, landing on top of other little cups, and hopefully having the most stacks that they're able to protect by the end of the round. So real quick, why don't we just take a look at what you get inside of this box. We'll see how the game plays, and we'll come back here at the end and we'll get my opinions on Cappuccino. So here you can see Cappuccino all set up for a 2 or a 4 player game. In this game, you're basically using these coffee cup shaped pieces, or whatever they are. They kind of look like K-cups if you've ever used a Keurig machine, that are your player pieces. And this is an abstract game in where you're trying to collect more of these little cups than everybody else. So it's either going to be a 2-player game where each player is going to control 2 of the colors, or we're looking at a 4-player game where each player controls 1 color. You can also play 3 players by removing one of the colors entirely, but essentially each player is going to have their own color of cups, or 2 colors of cups in a 2-player game. On your turn, you are simply going to move one of your pieces, or a stack of pieces that belong to you, and capture another piece. So let's say that it's Tan's turn here, or the cat's, either way you want to look at it. They're going to move one of their pieces on top of another piece. Now when they do this, they must move it on top of a pile that is of equal or lesser size than their own. So they can take any of the pieces at the start of the game. Now, let's say it's Brown's turn after that. They cannot move on top of this cat because their piece is smaller. But they could theoretically move on top of this cat over here, and now they have their own pile. After that, maybe we move to Dark Brown's turn, and they could move from here onto the White's piece, and then White would have their turn, and maybe White in turn decides to move from here on top of this Tan piece. You are allowed to capture your own pieces, but obviously you're trying to have the highest pile at the end of the game, or the highest multiple piles combined. So it's going to move on after this, and you'll see over time this board will kind of fragment out. You can have scenarios where entire areas are cut off from the rest of the board, so the kind of modular board, I guess, what we're looking at here. But you're going to keep moving, and so now it would be back to the first player's turn, which was Tan, and Tan can try and figure out another scenario. Maybe they'll look and see if any of their pieces are currently in danger. This one right here currently is, so maybe they would move this away, and they move it on top of this brown piece, now keeping it safe. And then we'd move back again, and the next player would take their turn. Now you can end up in scenarios where a pile and another pile that are equal are next to each other, and let's say Brown could move from here to here, capturing those pieces. And as you see, the higher your pile gets, the harder it will be to take. So of course you're going to try and isolate pieces where you can capture multiple pieces in a row. You're going to try and have the largest pile so no one else can take yours. And in scenarios where you can't have the largest pile, you're going to try and cut off pieces of yours from other players' scenarios so they can't take them on their move, eliminating them from the board, and of course making it harder for you to have more piles. Once everybody is done moving and you've moved all of the possible moves you can make, essentially all of the pieces have been captured and are no longer able to be taken, you're going to look and see who has the most of their pieces in their overall piles. Of course, your pile being one with Brown on top if you're the Brown player, or Tan on top if you're the Tan player. Adding all of those total pieces together, this would be 4, and then seeing who has the most. And whoever has the most of those pieces by best maneuvering around this modular board, trying to break off pieces and capture them for their own, or protecting their own pieces, will be the winner. Well, there you have it. That is Cappuccino, a game for 2 to 4 players. And the 2-player variant is really just kind of an excuse to have 2 players. Really, each player plays 2 different stacks of pieces, and they only score 1 of them. So really, it's just more pieces on the board that you're trying to control. It's not a great 2-player variant. It's there. It exists. Now, overall, this game is just okay. The components are excellent. Let's get that out of the way. Great components for an abstract game. I like the little coffee cups, and I like the foam drawn in on the top for the idea that you're drawing in the foam of the cappuccino. All very well made, well done, great tactile feel. Everything's excellent. Gameplay, I think they just wanted an excuse to make really nice pieces. The gameplay here is kind of a rehash of 2 other games that come to mind. One is Hey, That's My Fish, which is a relatively light abstract game with a penguin theme, and you're moving around, and you're kind of breaking the land into different areas, and you can see that happen in this. If you kind of move your pieces so that they're separated, you'll have an area break off, and then it becomes very, very easy if you have the highest stack to capture all of the pieces in that area. And the game kind of plays itself, which is a little bit of a problem in and of its own. But there's that aspect from Hey, That's My Fish in Cappuccino, and then on top of that there's the stacking, or stacks moving around capturing other pieces thing, which has been done in a great abstract called Devon from the GIP series. At least I think it was Devon. Anyhow, those two games combined basically make Cappuccino, but I think that each one of those games does their individual aspect in a way that's better than Cappuccino does the two combined. So I would definitely suggest checking out either of those two over this one, unless you want something with just amazing components. And then even Hey, That's My Fish has some pretty great components on its own. So overall, I'm going to give this game a resounding meh. It's not great. The components are excellent, but the rules of the game, it's all been done before. There's nothing new to see here, so I would say move along.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.